Hey everybody, welcome to Life on Life's Terms. You have Kenny here today, and I have a good friend of mine, Curtis. Curtis, say hi.
Hey, how's it going?
So today we're going to talk a little bit about he's going to explain his life story, what brought him to where he is today, some of the shit that he's gone through. He has a really good story. I met this guy on the boot camp units in the Edmonton Remand Center, and we both had a transforming experience there. But I was introduced to him as Redneck. This guy is, he's a ginger of all gingers. He's covered in tattoos, and he's a pretty serious dude. So, Curtis, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. We'll start with childhood.
Childhood, I don't know. I guess I started out basic childhood like anybody else in a small town farming community.
Hence the redneck.
Yeah, hence the redneck. Small towns, with small towns comes drinking and stuff like that. My parents drank. They drank a lot, so it affected us as kids in turn. Divorce, separation, and moving. We ended up leaving small town Manitoba, coming out to Alberta, lived the dream. And yeah, it did not turn out to be a dream for us kids, especially myself, because shortly after first coming here, I ended up being placed into government care, foster homes, group homes, and every type of institution you could think of.
How old were you when you went into government care?
7.
7 years old?
Yeah. So, through my experience of living in social services care, I personally found it was a very uncaring, cold, unforgiving system to be caught in. All you are is a commodity. You're a paycheck. Nobody really, gave a shit who you were, whether you were taken care of, they were there for the money. While in different homes, was, put through different types of abuse, everything from, physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, everything growing up as a kid. And you become very defensive. You tend to block everybody else out around you, especially adults. You learn not to trust adults. And yeah, it really shaped my younger years and growing up into a teenage year where, excuse me, I became very rebellious. I was anti-system against any type of authority figure.
So it gave you like a total complex to any authority.
Yeah. So with that, I hung out with people that went through similar upbringing, similar experiences. And from there, we just, we kind of made our own little close-knit family and, a bunch of hooligan criminals, youth criminals at that, running around doing basically whatever we wanted because we supported each other, we cared about each other type thing where we weren't getting that from the homes. And it just became a lifestyle. And with that, it all fell into drinking and doing drugs and,
How old were you when you first got into chemical drugs?
Chemical drugs, I think I was 14 when I first got into it.
What was the first drug you did when you were 14?
The first drug I did when I was 14, acid.
How was that experience?
Yeah, it was a trip.
So what you're saying basically is that you feel really let down at that time. Like you totally felt let down by the government system that you're in. Childcare.
I felt let down by everybody. I felt like I was a kid that nobody wanted because my mom had given me up. She didn't want me. So then I'm in all these homes being shuffled from home to home to home to home, right? It's like nobody wanted me, right?
How many foster homes were you in?
Oh, shit. Foster homes and group homes throughout I'd say between 30, 40 homes easily.
That's ridiculous. How does a child, especially at the age of 7, find any sort of like neutral ground to grow from when they're being shuffled around like that?
You don't.
That's ridiculous.
You don't.
So this obviously like puts you in a different mindset. Did you ever end up going to juvie?
Yeah.
How old were you when you first went to juvie?
15 the first time I went in.
What was that experience like? I've never been to juvie.
No?
No.
It was actually, it was kind of a, I don't know, kind of a surreal experience because, you know, I was always told, oh, you're going to end up in jail. You're a bad kid. You know, you're going to end up in jail. And then I get there and it wasn't even really jail. Like there was no bars. There was nothing like that. And there, you know, you got to wear your own clothes and like you're not in some suit or like stripes or whatever, right? So it wasn't that bad. And then it was actually really funny though because it was my first experience in juvie. I was sitting in the TV room and this big motherfucker comes up and sits beside me. And like I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet, and this guy had, right? Like so he like towered over me and he sits down beside me and he's like, "You remember me?" I look at him, look up at him, I'm like, "No." Right?
Yeah.
He's like, "You stabbed me." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You stabbed me in grade 4." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I called you Carrot Top and you lunged at me with a sharp pencil and stabbed me in the cheek."
So then what happened?
We got along great after that.
Yeah, it's like you get a sense of camaraderie with those that have suffered through the same type of traumas that you have, right?
Yeah.
So was that kid in group homes and stuff as well?
Yeah, he was going through the system kind of like what I was too.
If you can like a ballpark figure, I know you won't have an exact number, but out of all the kids that were in juvie, how many of them came from group homes and foster homes?
I would say well over 50% of them.
Okay.
And that's just me guesstimating.
Yeah. Well, there's obviously got to be a correlation with it, right?
Yeah.
What is your best memory of being in juvie?
That would actually probably be it. It's the one that stuck with me the most because, yeah.
Do you still know that guy today?
No, actually, I don't.
No.
No. It'd be kind of cool to see where he's at, though.
So, like, how old were you when you were left to your own free will and there was no more group homes or anything like that? Like, when did you escape that system?
When I turned 18.
When you turned 18?
Yeah.
How long was it after you turned 18 until you picked up adult convictions?
Oh, shit. A matter of days. I think it was a couple weeks.
That's it, eh?
Yeah. It wasn't very long.
So, would you say that from an early age that you carried like a form of PTSD with you?
I guess I never really thought about it, but I guess if you broke it down, yeah, I guess with everything that I seen, like one of the earliest vivid memories I ever had when I was a child was seeing my mom tied to a chair in my kitchen while my stepdad was like choking her out and beating her and telling, you know, like in my eyes, he was going to kill her. And when I went to the edge of the kitchen from the living room, he looked at me and like yelled at me to get the fuck out of here. I'm next. And that's when I ran to the bedroom and threw everything in front of the door that we possibly could.
We? You say we?
Me and my two brothers.
Are younger?
Yeah, they're both younger.
So you were the oldest?
Yeah.
So in that, like, can I bring you back to that situation? Are you okay to go back to that situation right now? So in that situation, like, your stepdad has your mom tied to a chair.
Yeah.
And how old were you?
I think I was 6.
6 years old.
Yeah.
What were like the thoughts and the emotions that you're having other than the obvious of being scared? Like, where were you, like, what was going through your mind?
Scared, you know. Yeah, all I can remember is just being scared. And I think it was not so much scared for me or for my brothers, like scared for my mom because, you know, seeing her like that in that situation, it's not something any kid ever wants to see their parent in.
Absolutely not. Did you ever go on the lam?
Oh, yeah.
When you were younger?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that.
I actually used to run away quite a bit when I was a little kid. And Mom used to tell me there was a couple times when I'd pack my little duffel bag of clothes and a couple toys or whatever, and I'm out of here, take off running down the road. But she knew exactly where I was because she'd just call different friends down the road as I'm hiking down the road, keeping tabs on where I was going, and then figure out which house I went to and call them up. And, you know, there was one time she actually made me feel like I actually ran away and got away with it, even though she knew where I was. I stayed there for 2 days.
How old were you in the 7?
I was like 6, 7. Yeah.
So did you like witnessing that as a kid? Like, what did that do for you when it came to like different conflict in your life? Like later in life, you're posed with a conflict, at the age of say 14, 15. After witnessing that when you were 6, like where were you mentally dealing with conflict when you were a teenager?
It depends on the conflict. If it's conflict with female, like if it's an argument with a female, I tend to walk away. I don't give an excuse. I don't give a reason. I walk away because I don't ever want to put myself into a position where I might be that person. But if it's like a male, I'm usually the aggressor. Like I get right into whoever's face, and we're hashing this out one way or the other.
I've seen that personally. Not on me, but I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen. So what was like so today you're doing really good.
Yeah.
Like I see all the time you got a roofing company on the go, different multiple crews.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring to see somebody like come out of the same institution that I was in around the same time and actually start making it. Because like recently I heard a statistic, I don't know how 100% accurate it is, but I heard that 97% of the guys that are released from a provincial institution in Alberta return to jail within 1 year.
I believe it.
So like I'm happy that you and I are on the positive end of the spectrum for the statistic.
Absolutely.
But what would you say today that is your like biggest contributing factor to your newfound success?
I would say honestly, it started with boot camp, and Howie Hoggins and Peak program. Like, there's a lot of people that went into the boot program, and they were using it to play a system to try and get out early, get a letter, get this or that or whatever. But they didn't take anything from it because they were doing it for all the wrong reasons, right? But I mean, the information that was provided to us while we were in there, we had nothing better to do but to actually read the literature, study it, and practice the different methods and techniques that it would teach us. Right. So, I mean, it reshapes your mind on how you think about different things, how you accept different things. It makes you so you can decipher your emotions a lot better than what you used to be able to. And in reality, it's made me a calmer, better, person, and, I'm more focused on what I want out of life and how I'm going to get it, instead of trying to make that quick buck and, live the millionaire dream type thing. Right.
Yeah, easy come, easy go.
Exactly.
So as an adult, how many years have you spent incarcerated in Alberta?
As an adult, including provincial and federal time, remand time and everything, I'm just over 20 years.
Behind bars?
Behind bars.
How old are you right now?
I am 44 years old.
Oh my God. So like in total of your adult life, you got like 4.5 years on the street.
Pretty much. Well, I guess no, it wouldn't be quite that high. It'd be just under 20.
Just under 20.
Yeah. I got over 15 federal for sure.
What's the worst crime you've been convicted for?
Define worse.
In your opinion?
I would say the worst crime that I've been convicted of was a 12-hour armed standoff in Calgary with TAC team and strike force.
Yeah, that's pretty serious. How long did you get for that?
I got 5 years. They wanted 8. I got 5.
Well, so what's your opinion on the justice system in Alberta? What's lacking? What's the shittiest part of it? And if there's anything that the justice system in Alberta did correct, what would it be?
Well, I don't know if the justice system can take credit for doing this correct, but Edmonton Remand can take the credit for it with starting up the boot program, the boot camp program,
Yeah.
Because, that program works. And I'm living proof, and so are you. As for what it lacks, it lacks understanding and compassion. It lacks, dealing with people as individuals, not just, blanket covering us all. Like,
here's your number.
Yeah, here's your number. You're just another number. And, like everybody, addictions, everybody's childhood upbringings, their traumas, everybody's is different. Our tales may be the same, but the details of our upbringing are different, which defines us in being different people, and we react in different ways, right? So, you and I could have had a similar upbringing, which we kind of did, but, what works for you might not work for me, right? We have to be looked at as individuals when it comes to helping us dealing with our addictions, and traumas that we've gone through growing up.
So, do you have a feeling that if you were introduced to like a structured self-development type program, like the boot camp ideology, if you were introduced to something like that earlier on in your criminal career, do you think it would have had a positive effect and changed you?
I would like to say yes, but in reality, I don't know. With where I was at that point in my life, I don't know.
So, like, for a lot of years, and like I'm speaking on my own behalf as well, and I know that you'll have similar feelings, but we identified ourselves by our criminal behaviors. It kind of like built up our ego, right? So, for me, what the self-development programs that are in the Edmonton Remand Center, specifically on the boot camp units, what they did for me was help me establish a new way to create a new identity for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that I didn't have to be the person that made those decisions in the past that got me the criminal convictions, and that I could be whoever I wanted to be. I can recreate a new identity based off of my intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think that if you had something like that, like if you were taught that lesson at a young age, say 22, do you think it would have the same effect on you then as it did now? Probably,
yeah.
Like, I'm just kind of putting it out there for our listeners and for whoever, that like the system, the justice system and the way Alberta prisons are ran, it's kind of like a revolving door where people come in and they don't get any treatment for the trauma and the things that affected them. And now more people are becoming aware of this, and like different countries in the world are closing down prisons because they're creating these programs. Curtis, what if you could change, if you could go back into the prisons and speak, or if you can come up with something, what would you come up with to help people so they don't have to live the same experiences that you've lived through?
One of the things that I while I was inside, I was kind of brainstorming different ideas, and I come up with an idea for a retreatment recovery center that I would like to someday, see come to flourish and, to help people. I would like to see kind of like I guess for lack of a term, you call it a partnership kind of thing between people like yourself, people like me that have come from that lifestyle, turned our lives around. We have credibility. We've been there. We've done that. Get more involved, because when you're dealing, especially when you're dealing with youth, they don't want to listen to people of authority. They don't want to listen to some lady or some man in a suit telling them what to do, or you got to follow these rules or these guidelines and whatnot, right? Or you're going to end up in jail. They just look at them and laugh like, you know what, go fuck yourself, right?
Yeah.
But if they were to deal with people like ourselves and to talk to people like us, you build that, you have that credibility. You're able to connect with them, quicker and better than what any suit ever will. Right. So if we were to work in partnership with, for lack of a term, the suits, right?
Yeah.
I think,
then we can have a bigger effect on the youth.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. And if somebody wants to steal that, go right ahead and we'll just hop on board with you.
Absolutely.
So when you were in, you wrote a book, did you not?
Yes, I did.
Why don't you explain that book for us, please?
It was actually it was meant just to be like a biography kind of thing. I read in one of the self-help books that writing your biography would become therapeutic. It would help you deal with and uncover underlying issues from younger years,
Like
and
traumas that
yeah,
you've buried for years.
things that you've buried, right? Because when you bury the bad things, you also bury the good things that came before the bad things, so you forget about them too, right? So Mr. Vey, one of the officers that works in boot camp, great guy,
Shout out to Glenn Vey, CPO Glenn Vey at the Edmonton Remand Center.
He kind of backed me on it, and he brought in the first book for me to write into and gave it to me, and I just started from there. And next thing you know, like I had four of these books filled, and I ended up doing a kind of a good copy of it. But I went back to the earliest memory that I could think of. I started out basically, giving an outline. Okay, I'm born in this town, yada yada, whatever. But then I started my biography at the earliest age that I could remember. And as I'm writing this out, and it's triggering in my mind, it actually opened up where I actually remembered other things that I'd forgot about, and I kind of questioned myself on it as like, am I just making this up in my head, or like, is this true, right? So then I'd make calls. I'd call my grandma or I'd call my aunt, and I'd question them about it, and they'd be like, yeah, that happened and whatever, right? They'd confirm it. So it I don't know. It broadened my memory, I guess, or broke down the barriers, and it just basically what it is my biography from my earliest memory, right up until where I was at that point in time in boot camp. And it's a glimpse of little periodic periods of time throughout my life up until that point.
What did that, like, how did you feel when you were done writing that?
Better.
Can you go into that a little bit?
I don't know. I felt relieved in a lot of ways, because a lot of stuff that I had just kept inside and bottled up, and I had never shared with anybody before or talked about before, I actually put onto paper, and I actually allowed people to read it, and it actually, I felt like a big weight come off me. I'm not packing that baggage around anymore.
Do you think that one exercise of writing your own biography, relieving those memories, letting them out, getting that weight off your chest, do you think that is one of the contributing factors today that help you get through every day sober and healthy and productive?
Absolutely. I do.
So what does a normal day in the life of Curtis look like these days?
It varies from day to day. I started up my own roofing company, 311 Roofing Limited, and right now I think we've got 13 guys working for us right now on different crews. So my day basically consists of dealing with roofing, running guys around job to job, making sure all the tools are there. I have a job foreman that helps me out greatly, because there's a lot of days that I just don't want to go. I just stay home and do what I want. So, I mean, if it wasn't for Joe, I mean, I would be lost.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. So, what are your aspirations for the future?
My aspirations for the future, everybody says, oh, you get married and settle down and have kids. I'm 44 years old. I'm too old for that shit. So, I just want to live comfortably. I would like to see my company grow substantially, so that I can get to the point where I can just go kick it different places of the world and not even have to be here, just collect a paycheck.
Oh, that is living the dream. What is the first place that you're going to go to?
Actually, the first place I'm going to will be this Christmas and New Year's. I'm going to Mexico.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can I come?
I don't care, sure. And then
We'll
next
have
year,
to talk about that.
yeah, next year I want to go to Thailand.
So are you leaving before Christmas?
Just before, yeah.
Oh, shit.
You got your daughters. You got to stay.
Yeah, maybe I'll come right after.
Right after come Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you'd like to just open up and get out right now? Like we've covered a little bit about your past. You're on air, man. Like,
yeah, this is like weird for me.
So,
but no, I just if I could give anybody any advice, don't give up. Don't give up on your dreams. Your dreams do come true, and at the time, what you dream today might not actually be what's meant for you, right? Keep an open mind and, be perceptive to everything around you. And when you see an opportunity, jump on it and grab it, and when you have good people backing you, whether it's just moral support, financial support, it doesn't matter what it is. If they're backing you, supporting you, be thankful for it and grateful for it and, accepting of it, because there's a reason those people are in your life,
Do you believe in that?
Yeah, I do.
That everything happens for a reason?
Absolutely.
Synchronicity?
Yeah. It is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. Right?
What was your favorite thing that you learned in boot camp? Not the peak program, for the boot camp units specifically.
I learned you can draw.
Well, yeah, I can draw. Check out my Instagram, Kenny_Cantrell. You can see my art. It's for sale.
I learned that, not to always just judge people by what you hear from others or by their looks. It's being on boot camp actually humbled me quite a bit. I still have my moments where I,
Lose your shit.
lose my shit.
Over an ice cream.
It was over more than ice cream.
So don't judge a book by its cover. Well, that's what are friends for, right?
Yeah.
So don't judge a book by its cover. What was your favorite thing that you learned in the peak program?
Favorite thing I learned in the peak program?
Yeah.
Was it's actually ongoing, and that was the book, The Master Key System.
The Master Key System by Charles Hannell.
Yeah, Hannell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the best book ever.
I know. I got a copy at home now, too.
How many times have you read it?
Since I got it at home, I'm 1.5 through it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think I'm going on like 4.5 times. You can get the audiobook on YouTube, too.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So much easier.
Yeah. I'm sure they have it on all the other plugs, too. You can probably get it on Audible.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I learned so much on that. It's hard to narrow down which is the most defining or the most important thing I learned there. I learned so much.
Do you continually divulge yourself in self-development?
I try to.
What are like some of your... What's a daily ritual that you do?
Daily ritual that I do every day is, and it's the simplest thing that, most people do it anyways in life, but they tell you in boot camp. And Mr. Vey.
I know what it is.
What?
I know. No, I'm going to let you say it.
Yeah.
Because it's mine too.
Yeah. Look yourself in the mirror and unfuck yourself.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I still do that. I thought you were going to say make your bed.
Oh, there's that too?
Do you still make your bed?
Absolutely. Every morning, because no matter how bad the day is, you come home to a made bed.
Yeah, then it's good. Everything's okay if your bed's made. And I'm scared. Like, I'm fucking scared for the day that I don't make my bed. What the fuck is going to happen on that day?
Yeah.
Like, if I stop caring, like, I think I'll probably just self-sabotage and fucking kill myself that day. I'll fucking go off the handle. If I don't make my bed, like, I'm fucking scared. Like, if I'm running late, I'm already late.
Yeah.
I'm still making my bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My fucking poor kids now.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up, my kids are 9 and 10. They can't get their phones and play on their games until inspection is done.
So you're a mini Vey at home.
Oh yeah, 100%. I make them stand at attention outside their door, and I like march up and I pretend that I'm like in the military, and I go attention, and I stomp my foot down, and they're just sitting there giggling, their fucking faces up. I'm like stand at attention, put your arms by your side, straight back, chin up. And they do it, right? They're like trying not to laugh. And then like I go around and like if they leave garbage in their garbage can, I dump it out on the middle of the floor and I bring them in. I make them do push-ups.
That's fucking deadly. That's awesome. You gotta film that.
It was the best parenting. Like now, like they love it now. They're like, like if one day if I'm slacking or something, they're like, Dad, inspection. I'm like, yeah. Get ready. I'll be in there in 15 minutes.
Do you fuck with the inspection like they used to do it with us?
No, what do you mean?
You know, the old bed has to be this way this week and this other time, or you can only have like a couple pairs of socks out or whatever.
Oh, that's a great idea. I haven't gone that far.
Attention to detail, bud.
So my 9-year-old, if I say, listen, Tivy, it's 8:45, get into bed. She'll look at the clock. If it's 8:47, she'll say, pay attention to detail, Dad. It's 8:47. Because nice. I've said it to her now enough times that she just like rubs my own nose in it.
Nice.
Rubs my nose in my own shit.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you have any kids?
I have an 11-year-old yet.
Are you talking to him?
No.
No?
No, he's in care right now.
He's in care?
Yeah.
Well, with being a working man.
It's my past.
Oh, shit. Let's not go there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of touchy.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. So do you have a special lady in your life right now?
No, not really.
Huh?
No.
Me either.
No.
Me either.
Yeah. I don't know. Not special on that aspect. Kind of seeing a woman right now, but you know,
it's up in the air still.
Yeah, kind of feeling that out.
Yeah, I got an up in the air too. Yeah, it's not solid enough to lay claim to it yet, especially on air. I should though, just to fuck with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So what else are you doing with your life these days?
Hanging out around home. We have lots of fires around home, barbecues around home. I like going out in the truck and side by side, ripping her up, getting muddy, having a good time.
I should really take you up on that invite to go out there and cruise around, eh?
You should. Absolutely. I'm going this weekend.
Well, this weekend might be the perfect weekend.
Yeah.
What kind of side by side you got?
I got a Commander XT 1000.
How big of a property do we have to rip this thing around on?
160 acres.
Holy fuck. It's going to be the best time of my life.
And they love me out there, so.
Like they actually love you, or are you being sarcastic?
No, they actually.
Everything up?
No, that's why they love me out there, because I tear everything up.
You're a true redneck, eh?
Yeah.
So, let's go back. Let's go back to some incarceration shit. What is the most fucked up thing that you've ever seen being in a penitentiary in Alberta?
The most fucked up thing I've ever seen would have been in Sask Pen back in 2001 or 2002. Gang war broke out, and literally sat there and watched multiple people getting stabbed, getting sliced, getting thrown onto a pile, and then getting like smashed with 45-pound dumbbells, 50-pound dumbbells, plates, bars, you know, and the guards could not do anything about it.
So they just sat back and watched?
Oh, they were trapped in their bubble. They weren't coming out. And then when two come running down what they call Blood Alley out of the main dome, and they come running into the main area, and there's like 400 guys out there, and they're like, lock up, and everybody turns around and looks at them. Go fuck yourself. You know, they turned white and ran back the other way.
So was this like a riot?
No, it's a gang war.
As a gang war?
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a riot in the pen?
Not really. Kind of, but not really. Wouldn't really be a riot. It's kind of more like a unit smash up.
If you could just like eliminate one thing from jails, just one. I know we want to eliminate a lot of things from jail, but just one. What would it be?
Bars.
The bars? Mine would be the strip searches.
Oh, you don't like that?
Like, I don't like cracking smiles with my butt cheeks for another dude.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, for sure.
Like, I think if they got rid of that, at least I wouldn't feel like such a mutt.
Yeah.
When like,
yeah.
I'm definitely not going back on that side of the fence ever again.
No.
Like the worst crime that you can convict me of right now is jaywalking. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I have to agree with you on that. Other than that, I don't know.
So, Curtis, what was it like going into an institution being a federal inmate? Like, what's your take? We've gone over this a few times on the show, like the difference between being indictable and summary convictions. Like, what happened when you went into the remand as a federal inmate?
Anytime you went into the remand as a convicted federal inmate, you were automatically a more privileged inmate. You were given more space. You were given a single cell. They couldn't house you in with a provincial inmate because it became a liability issue on both ends.
How is that so? Why is it a liability?
Just the difference between being caught in the federal system and the provincial system being the two different governments, whereas like the remand is technically a provincial institution run by the provincial government. Federal institution is a run by the federal government, which has different guidelines, rules, and the two, they don't mesh, they're completely different systems. So if, hypothetically speaking, say you and I, we were put into a cell together, you're a provincial inmate, I'm a federal inmate. If I was to punch you out or you punch me out, we both got lawsuits right there. We could sue the other government.
But it's not like that anymore, though.
No. It used to be like that. It's not like that anymore. Why it's not, I have no idea.
What was it like going into a provincial institution now, being a federal inmate and having to bunk up with other provincial inmates?
Honestly, I haven't, since my last federal bit, I haven't gone into a provincial institution as a federal inmate. The last time I did...
Well, the remand you did.
I wasn't sentenced federal, though. I was doing remand time.
Oh, okay.
It was straight dead time. So it's completely different. I was a provincial inmate. But the last time that I went as a federal inmate into the institution, we were still allotted those rights.
Was that was the last time you were doing Fed time? Was that when you picked up that 5-year sentence or that standoff?
Yeah.
I want to go back to the standoff here because like that was a juicy moment that I didn't get in any details on. So can you go over the story? I want to hear the story of that.
Okay, basically it all boiled down to it was in 2006. I got released from Stony Mountain Penitentiary, and upon release from there, I went on pretty much a 9.5, 10-month terror, and I picked up a shit ton of charges. Well, I was looking at a shit ton of charges, and I was wanted. So I was on the run.
What's a terror?
Wreaking havoc on society. At that point in time, I didn't care whether I lived or died, and yeah, like I really had no remorse for anything that I was doing. Although I wasn't going after, the regular people. I wasn't going after, mom and dad and the kids down the street and stuff like that. Anybody that I had done anything against were in the same lifestyle as I was, right? Other than the cops, obviously, because, they're the other team, right? So
you don't want to you don't want to head on fight the cops, no.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but whatever. But anyways, long story short, I was at a house in Calgary, and certain couple people they got picked up for some stuff, and they pointed out, who I was and where I was. They knew I was wanted Canada-wide, and, they gave me up, right? So the cops showed up there and, called into the house and wanted, asked for me, right? And, kind of shook my head and threw the phone back at my friend's little brother that was in the house. And I'm like, no, what are you doing, right? And he's like, well, they asked for you. I'm like, I don't even live here. Like, who the fuck's calling me here, right? So anyways, long story short, that kicked off the beginning of the standoff with them, and it went on for 12 and a half hours. During this time period, I'd run out of smokes inside the house, and I was getting really, really aggravated, and the negotiators calling like every 10 minutes, pissing me off. Like, I kept telling them, like, fuck off, leave me alone, right? I'll come out when I'm ready, or I won't, whatever, And so anyways, I ran out of smokes, so I tell the negotiator, I need smokes. He's like, well, how are we going to get them to you? I said, put them at the back door. I'll get them, right? So he's like, I'll call you back. So he calls me back a little bit. And he's like, okay, we're going to get you smokes. We're going to deliver them to the back door with the bomb robot. You got to promise not to shoot our robot. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Just give me the smokes.
So you were armed.
Oh, yeah, to the teeth.
What was going through your mind when you were like locked up in this house, armed to the teeth?
In my mind, I had it set that I wasn't walking out of that house.
So you were prepared to...
I was prepared to die.
At your own accord, or...
No, I was going to make them shoot me.
Wow. That just gave me goosebumps. What were you feeling?
I was feeling, well, caged, obviously, trapped. I didn't have a way out, but I was also feeling that I was done. I was played out. Like I was, I'd had enough. It was time.
So you're just feeling like defeat and failure.
Yeah.
Were you on drugs at this time?
Up until the beginning of the standoff, yes, I was. During the standoff, I wasn't on anything.
Oh, it'd probably sober you right up.
Oh, yeah, real quick.
So then what happened when they bring you smokes with a robot?
The first time they brought him with the robot, we went out. I had Owen, who was my alleged hostage at the time. He wasn't really a hostage. He didn't want to leave. He was like reaping up all the plenty of fish pussy and everything online. Fucking, sympathy. I'm a hostage during the standoff and shit, right? So...
So he was using that as his pickup line on POF.
Oh, you should have. Oh, yeah, and it was totally working. He was getting hit after hit after hit, man. Like I'm sitting there watching him on the laptop.
I'm gonna do that. I'm totally gonna do that.
Oh yeah, and I walked behind him a couple times, and a couple of girls were like, "Who the fuck is that? Why has he got a gun?" Right? It's like, well, I'm a hostage. What do you expect, right? So he played it up, Yeah, and the one really, really funny thing about the whole thing, and the whole situation isn't funny when you really think about it, but the one really funny thing about it was they thought I had two hostages because they asked Owen who's all in the house, right? So Owen told them me, him, and Sue. So they were under the assumption I had three hostages right up until the very end. Sue was a fucking cat. But, no, we got the smokes the first time, went back inside, and there was only like 5 smokes in the pack, and I snapped. I lost it. Like, I was, negotiator gets on the phone. He's like, are you okay now? You got your smokes? And I'm like, what, you think I'm a fucking joke? You think I'm fucking around in here? Like, really? Bang, fire off a shot through the wall, right? What are you doing? You can't be doing that. And I'm like, dude, I'm letting you know I'm serious. Like, I'm not fucking around in here, right? So he's like, okay, we'll get you more smokes. So it's about a half hour later. He called back into the house, and he's like, okay, we got you more smokes, but you got to promise not to shoot our robot. I said, I didn't shoot it last time. I'm not going to shoot it this time, right? So we go back out there, and they took, like, the biggest Ziploc bags you could possibly find, must have hit every fucking cop in the fucking whole zone that they had cordoned off, and said, put your smokes in here, because we had every type of smoke in that fucking Ziploc bag.
Well, the things you got to do to get smokes, right?
I guess, right?
How did it all come to a close?
Come to a close after about 9.5, 10 hours. I'd had enough. It wasn't going anywhere. And with Owen in there, they weren't going to bum rush the house. So I had to get Owen out of the house. So I told him he had to leave. I was forcing him to leave, and he didn't want to because he knew that the game plan was that when he left, they were coming in, and I was going to make them shoot me, and he didn't want to see me die. So he argued about it for a bit, and then when I basically physically forced him to leave the house, he got up and started kicking the shit out of the fridge and beating on the fucking door as he went out the door, and I shut the door behind him. And so he goes outside, and yeah, they kind of dogged him out there. Not too bad, though, because I told him that I was sending the hostage out and whatever. And then I went back, and I turned the chair towards the back door because there's one door down. It's a basement suite. And I faced the door, and I laid the extra clips across the armrest and sat there with my handgun. I had my shotgun by my feet, and I was waiting for him to come through the door. And I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited, and I was not on any drugs, and waiting really sucks when you're falling asleep. So I was like, whatever. I grabbed a couple clips, grabbed the Glock, and headed to the bedroom, kicked back on the bed, fell asleep. Woke up with tear gas coming through the fucking window. And yeah, every window of the house they forced me out of the house with tear gas. And then when I dove out the back door, they fucking stomped the piss right out of me. Like, I could not move in remand for at least 2 weeks. Like, I was so beat.
I've never experienced tear gas.
I'll take that over. I'll take pepper spray any day of the week over tear gas.
What is it like? I've never
You can't breathe. You can't breathe at all. It completely robs all the oxygen out of the air. You can't breathe.
Holy shit.
And it burns.
So it burns worse than pepper spray?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh my God. I bear maced myself before.
Why would you do that?
Like, it was an accident. So I was like 13, and I'm at my dad's house, and I see this black canister on the shelf, and it looked like a little fire extinguisher, right? And there was no like safety on it or anything. It was just sitting there, and it's like, oh, what's gonna happen when I push this button? So I push this button, and this fucking big yellow cloud like shoots out right in front, not directly into my eyes, but shoots out like in front of me. And I'm standing in the living room, and I look up, and I watch this yellow cloud of smog just slowly sink over my head. And then I fucking hit the dirt, and I'm coughing and spitting and fucking everything. And so then I army crawl outside, and I'm coughing in the backyard, and my dad's in the garage, and he's like, and this time he's drinking like fucking a 40-pounder Crown Royal every day, just saw straight up. And I'm like, oh no, I gotta tell him I just sprayed this shit in the house, and I was scared he's gonna give me just cuff me, right?
Right.
But so I go in there and I tell him, and he didn't hit me. So I was like expecting a hit, but he didn't hit me. He's like, you fucking idiot. So he goes in the house, and he brings like this couple fans from the garage, and he sets up these fans in the house, and he's just like a champ, like nothing, like it doesn't even fucking faze him. And then he comes outside, and he's like, you're fucking so stupid. And he just goes back in the garage, and he's working on his bike, and he's drinking more. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm lucky I didn't get a beating, right? But like, so when I sprayed it, I was right next to the kitchen table, and the living room coffee table. And like on the living room coffee table, I had like all my shit. Like I had a pack of smokes and all this stuff. So at the end of the day, like I was getting ready for bed, and I go and I grab my smokes. And this is where the story kind of gets kind of funny. So I grab my smokes, I go downstairs and have a smoke, and I had a stack of porno in my room, right? So I decided I was going to just like let one off. Okay, I was going to let one off. This is for all the listeners. And so I'm like flipping through this porno, and I start rubbing one out, and all of a sudden my dick and my balls are on fire. Like they are burning like I've never felt burning before in my life. And I was like, what the fuck, right? So like I run upstairs, I open the freezer, and I grabbed a bag of frozen peas, and I put it on my balls because they were on fire. And so I guess like my pack of smokes was covered in bear spray. So don't put bear spray on your balls. No,
probably not a good idea.
That's my life hack for today. So let's get back to so now you're a business owner.
Yeah.
Do you find that there's any adversity being a business owner and an ex-con?
Oh, absolutely.
What are some of the roadblocks that you've hit?
Well, biggest roadblock is credibility, because I don't know any ex-cons that have what they call good credit. My credit, they say no credit is worse than bad credit. I say bullshit. You haven't seen my credit. But the biggest thing would be getting credit set up. I'm still fighting with that, but it's just been a learning curve right from the very, very get-go. I started out, I was working for a friend of mine, and he got injured. So I was running his company for him. And then, just as time went on and I got to understand the runnings of a roofing company, that if you figured, do I want to try it? And then I had some friends that were like, okay, do it. try it, jump into it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What have you lost, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so I bit the bullet and got my business license, my insurance, my WCB, GST. I got everything all lined up and everything. And I'd already had the contacts from running my friend's company for him with the contractors. So, we just kicked it off and started to make a go of it, right? So,
do you find that like dealing with any like the home builders and stuff like that, do they know that you're an ex-criminal?
They've never, well, I can't say they. There's been a couple of them that have asked, right? What kind of past I had, like obviously you look at me, I'm covered in tattoos. Like I didn't come from a Mormon camp or something, right? Like, fuck, right? So, I mean, they've asked, but they were not, they didn't discriminate. They didn't, not issue me work because I'd been to the penitentiary or I'd been in trouble or anything like that. So
were you like open with them about it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And, at the end of the day, I'm open with everybody that I'm in contact with when it comes to the business. If they ask me, I'll tell them. I'm not gonna come right out with it and, say, oh, here's my criminal record. This is who I am. I'm working for you. How's it going? How you like me now, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, when it comes to the roofing industry, I mean, it's probably, if you were going to get into any industry, having a past, it's probably one of the easiest to get into because you deal with so many people in that industry that are fighting addictions, whether it be alcohol, drugs, whatever, and they all have pasts. Like, I don't think I have one person working for me right now that hasn't done jail time or hasn't had an issue with substance abuse or something, right?
That's really cool. So like right now you're not only doing a good thing for yourself and moving on in like an entrepreneurial way, but you're actually helping out other guys that are coming out of the system by giving them jobs.
Yeah. As it stands right now, we have 2 guys that are actually on a work release program from Correctional Services Canada, from the federal system, and we have 3 parolees that are also working for us right now.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it works out well. And, they feel comfortable working for us because we're just like them, We come from that, we fucked up in the past too. We've done our time, paid our dues, and, moved on with life, right? So it's easier for them to talk to you, to relate to you. And on that aspect, I'm sure it probably helps them a lot on the grounds that, they look at it, okay, this guy, done so many years in the penitentiary, he's been a fuck up most of his life. Now he owns a business. Why can't I do that?
Absolutely. Now you're a role model and a mentor for guys coming out.
Yeah.
Do you see any expansion on the horizon for your business in that sense?
Absolutely.
That's remarkable.
Yeah. Like I kind of got I got my goals.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And you have your goal setting routine that you learned on boot camp.
Yeah, absolutely. And it works.
Do you use any manifestation techniques?
I'd like to say I do. I know I do. Do I do it religiously, like every day, like we used to do and stuff like that when we were doing them? No. But I do them. And I don't know, what I find my biggest thing is if I focus on what I want, I know I can achieve it and I will achieve it, and it's just a matter of time. Like, it's like positive projection, right?
Yeah.
Is positive reception. So what you put out, you get back, right? And one of the things that I've been fighting with right now on one side of my company is like the reno sides, the re-roofs. One of the biggest, pieces of equipment I need is a dump trailer. I've been renting dump trailers for fucking retarded amount of money, right? So I shut down that side of the company for now and just doing new construction until I could figure out what I'm going to do financially so that I can, get what I need. Within the last week and a half, one of my neighbors from across the road, him and his uncle, they have a lot of cash from a settlement, and they also have different businesses and whatever, and they like to invest into smaller businesses. So my neighbor come over and he had a chat with me, and him and his uncle would like to invest into my company now.
That's manifestation.
Yeah, right. and it's right across the street, right? So
yeah, it's crazy how things work out like that, eh?
Yeah.
Well, I think we're good on we hit the benchmark for time here, so I'm gonna wrap it up. It was really good talking with you, Curtis, and I hope our listeners got some good value out of some of your stories that you shared and different life experiences.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. So thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. I want to give a shout out to our lawyer, Liam Connolly at Connolly Law, for all your Canadian law and will estates. Check out Liam Connolly. Just Google him. So check out our Patreon page. What we're looking for is suggestions for a not-for-profit that we can kind of sponsor. We'll plug a not-for-profit for 30 days and get donations through the Patreon page for the nonprofit. 100% of those donations will go to that nonprofit. So this is a good way that we can give back. But any suggestions from the listeners on what nonprofit to sponsor, we are open for. We appreciate you guys listening to this, and upon listening to this, you are part of the pride. You are part of the Lions Pride. We're here. We're all doing better for ourselves, and we're learning and growing together. And so, any way that we can get feedback from you guys, we appreciate it. We want to hear what you think about our show, and if you have any suggestions on topics or people that we can have as guests, we're totally open to that, and we want to hear from you as much as possible. So I just want to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you again, Curtis.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys soon. You'll hear from us soon.